Hello everyone. We'll continue now in part 2 of the fall in understanding the symbols in the Genesis story. We'll look at the characteristics of the serpent. This serpent could talk with Eve. It knew God's will. We'll need to look at this more closely. What's the meaning of the serpent? Could communicate with people. It knew about God's commandment. And in Revelations 12:9, it explains the following. If we read this, "And the great dragon was the ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." We can see from this passage three things. The great dragon, the ancient serpent, and the devil are all different names for the same being, Satan. And of course, we're particularly interested in the ancient serpent that was in the Garden of Eden, which tempted Eve to fall. And furthermore, if we read at the end of that passage, it states, "And his angels were thrown down with him." Well, that tells us very clearly that he was a leader of angels. His angels were thrown down with him. And the leader of angels, according to Isaiah 14:12 in the King James Version, is Lucifer. Lucifer wanted to make himself like God. He wanted to make himself like God, but he was brought down to Sheol, to hell. So from this, he's a leader of angels. So he must be an angel himself, obviously. So who are angels? Well, we can see from the lecture on the principles of creation, we have, as human beings, we have a spiritual body and a physical body. And actually, only during our life on the earth, do we have a physical body. But we have a spiritual body forever in the spiritual world. Now, angels, they're the other way around. They only have a spiritual body. We know this. When we read the Bible, there's many references to angels. They're often called men. 3 men came to Abraham and conveyed some important message to him. Angel appeared to Mary, the mother of Jesus. But these are often described as being men, but they're angels. Their appearance are no different than men. That's why they're often confused as being men, but they are angels who only have a spiritual body, and they can be seen only momentarily by some people. Now, as opposed to animals, they only have a physical body. So this is what who Lucifer is. This is what the serpent is, an angel, Lucifer. Now we'll look now at the meaning of the symbols so far. The tree of life equals perfect Adam. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is Eve before the fall. We'll look at it, the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the last lecture. But the serpent is Lucifer, an angel. But what is the fruit? Of course, the fruit, eating the fruit is the cause of the fall. So of course, the aim is to find out what is the meaning of the fruit. So we need to study a bit further for that. We'll look now at the cause and motivation of the fall. At the time of creation, God said in Genesis 1:26, "Let us make man in our image." Who is God talking to? Some people think he was speaking as a Trinity, but actually God was speaking to the angels. The angels existed before human beings, and they helped God in the creation. So Lucifer was a leader of angels, according to Isaiah 14:12. So of course he must have been very close to God at that point, at that time. And so Lucifer was in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. Now, Lucifer was attracted particularly to Eve at that time, and he tempted her, and they had a relationship. And this was adultery. They had a spiritual fall. Then Eve says, offered the fruit to Adam, and he fell. Eating the fruit means to have a sexual relationship. You might think, well, how can a spiritual being like an angel have a sexual relationship with a physical woman? Well, they both have spiritual bodies, so that's very feasible. And that's exactly what happened. And this is the reason why Satan claims to be the ancestor or even the father of human beings. He created his lineage. It's a spiritual lineage. It's a false lineage, but still he made that claim. So this is the cause of the fall. The fruit, eating the fruit, the act of eating the fruit means the misuse of love. Of course, sex, God created sex to produce children, but it should be enjoyed and experienced only through husband and wife in a marriage. But this is the cause of the fall. So we look at the next presentation, the consequences of the fall. How is it, what are the results? How does it affect us today? How did Satan maintain his lineage on earth? What position are we in relation to God and Satan? This is a very important understanding, because until we understand how we can separate from Satan, how we can come back to God, which we'll explain later, there's no hope for us. But understanding the fall is crucially important. It's like a disease. There's many diseases in history where people caught, but until they could find the cause of the disease, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't help anyone. So if you had that disease, you were bound to be seriously ill and die. But once they discovered the cause of it, then they could give a solution, often a vaccine, or they could combat it, and it can be no longer a threat or a hindrance to human beings. So we need to study this further now in the next presentation and the results of the fall. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and we'll see you in the next presentation on the part 3 of the fall. Thank you very much.